I don't want to be that guy who says, everybody chip in to save the channel multiple years in a row. And you all just take me at my word that the channel is indeed struggling. We all know how people lie about money and foster parasocial relationships just to enrich themselves. It's a pitfall of this industry, and they poison the well for everybody.
I think it was a month ago, there was this guy, he calls himself Innuendo Studios, and he made this video talking about how YouTube bankrupted him, and off the title alone, I knew what it was gonna be, and I gave myself a celebratory pat on the back and another celebratory jerk of the meat, because what have I been saying for at least 2 years now? That YouTube, based on the glitz and glamour of a bunch of people who are showing you their lifestyle as they're financing everything, looks cool, but when you actually get into the weeds of it, and you decide to be a content creator, financially, it's one of the dumbest decisions anybody could make unless you become luckier than fuck and every video you pump out gets 1 million views. That way, financially, you have lucratively set yourself up to survive for maybe 3 years. But this guy makes this big proclamation talking about how it's not really working out. And financially, he's been in this situation for, I believe, if based off memory, 7 years, if not longer at that point.
Taking a full account, I have been running this channel at a loss for...
How long?
7 years.
What? 7 years? The job market was so much better 7 years ago.
Love so all they know. Fucking with them old boy, you gonna get fucked
7 years. This dude has been operating at a loss and taking out family personal loans. 7 years ago, you could have got a job that's not terrible.
But Chris, the allure of being a YouTuber.
That is so stupid.
Want ads PTW.
Yeah, he didn't want to do ads either. He's like, man, I really want to make $1,200 a month on Patreon. That's all I really need. 9 years ago. Like, you fucking idiot.
And me hearing that would have alarm bells go off to say, if for 7 years I've been making content at a loss, wouldn't it propel me to say, time to get a more financially stable job? That way I could be making some money, I could pay off some bills, and on the side, I could be making videos about how we can blueprint how to combat conservatives and all of their rhetoric going around, because that's the content he makes. Not that there's anything wrong with making that content. It's to say, hey, when you're doing that and people are watching it, but you only do it once every 4 months, you're not really going to see any financial success off of YouTube. And he had this Patreon, and I believe he had some third option, but he decided to let the world know he needed help off of GoFundMe. And before anyone says anything, I needed to be understood that his GoFundMe was absolutely successful. People saw his plea, people looked at the scenario, and they said, I'm going to help you. And he achieved success in the GoFundMe. He reached the goal, and all the financial strife that he had to deal with, from having to borrow money from friends and family to the debt collectors breathing down his neck, he was able to reach his goal and pay it off so steadfast and so amazingly. And it should be what one could consider a happy ending with a lesson in the future to not really put it all on social media. As much as you would want to hope you could become successful in content creation or streaming, not to really bet at all unless you get into that circumstance. But it's not a happy ending. Why? Because in that video, he details to people, yeah, I could be pumping out more content, but I have to dedicate more time to the craft. And I'm sorry, based on what I've watched, it's the equivalent to what I do. Just putting your voice on something and adding a couple extra drawings. And it really wasn't this great breakdown of how to combat a bunch of conservatives. It's, hey, conservatives dumb, here's how you could prove they're dumb, cut the print, subscribe, see you in the next 4 months for another video. And if he were to dedicate more time to making videos instead of just, I guess, sitting around, dicking around, hoping somebody saves him, maybe it could work out in some form of benefit. But as the days have gone on since he achieved his goal, something's happened. You're starting to notice that this guy who really wanted to proclaim how broke he was is starting to flash a little bit of money. Status update. I am on sabbatical for the summer. I will be doing a project of some sort with a friend in September. By the time that's done, I will have decided whether or not I'm still a YouTuber. In the meantime, I may make things, but making video essays is not officially my job. So, by proxy, you need to stop bitching about how YouTube bankrupt you. If this wasn't your job to begin with, you were just in it for the shits and giggles, and you made a little money on the side, but financially, you decided to keep this shit going because you thought it was going to be lucrative forever. No idea what the September project will be. All we've done is agree to make something. I don't know if it's an album or a painting or a web app or a home movie of us singing Welcome to the Black Parade at karaoke. Clear your mind of expectations. I am noodling some other ideas for the summer. I will almost certainly keep making things, but I am not committing to anything specific. I make no promises they will go public, which is telling everyone, hey, even though I sat here in detail to you how YouTube isn't really as successful as I hope it'll be, I will continue to be lazy in the hopes that somebody could look at what I'm saying and help me out some way, some forth. And on his Patreon, where apparently you gotta pay $1 to get breaking news on this man's life, in September, I'm going to visit a friend of mine. They live in Japan. Boy, wonder where you got the money to travel to Japan, because in your video, you're talking about how you ain't got no job. In your post on social media, you're saying content creation isn't your full job. I'm wondering where you got the money to do this nice little trip to Japan. And I've wanted to take an extended trip to see them for ages, but haven't had the money for it. They live very cheaply in Japan, and it's likely I can actually break even on expenses provided we cook most of our meals together. It's just a matter of having the upfront airfare cost, which, thanks to you, I have. Thanks, everybody. While the entire gimmick of the GoFundMe was for me to pay off all these debts, I'm going to, on the side, let you all know that I'm going to go to Japan, and it's completely thanks to you, you bald-headed dumb fucks. And I think what's even worse is that this guy's got videos detailing how he's kind of bad with dealing with finances, how he's bad being a fucking adult. And there are also people out there who will make the weird jump through hoop excuse that, ooh, it got something to do with that old orange motherfucker.
Keep in mind, by the way, most progressive content creators such as myself, and I'm pretty sure Innuendo Studios as well, don't take sponsorships. I've taken one sponsorship ever, and it was because they're the one company that offered to send me a free sample of the product without even agreeing to the sponsorship before I accept.
So you don't want money. You just went on this spiel about lefties not getting money. A sponsor would get you money. You would get paid. Like, hello, you would get paid. You would absolutely get paid off of a sponsorship.
One of the right's biggest attacks lately has been the fact that being a progressive creator is not financially, like, it doesn't make a lot of money. And they'll tongue-in-cheek call you a grifter while pointing that out, which is hilarious. But
Why do you think they're doing that? Why do you think a bunch of conservatives are making bank off of you motherfuckers saying this shit? Because you seem to get on this platform and talk about your struggle and talk about how you want people to help you and talk about how it's not lucrative, and you come up with the fucking excuse that's because you're a fucking leftist. Hello?
YouTube's rise is also correlated directly with Trump just nuking the economy, COVID happening, and then Trump getting reelected and nuking the economy again. So there's not really been a bread tube, as it used to be called, or a left tube, whatever you want to call it, in a time where the economy has been stable enough that, like, even a low six-figure income in certain areas is enough to, like, break even comfortably, you know.
Which, by the way, I'm gonna need like all of y'all, whether if you like that dude or don't like that dude, visualize me as you. And for some reason, every day, whenever something's going good or bad in your life, you somehow blaming Trump or you pinning it on Trump. Me, you. This is you holding that man's meat. Let it go. Because everything in your life, good or bad, ain't got shit to do with that man. It got something to do with your circumstances and how good or bad you tend to operate with them. And when a motherfucker ain't making money online off of boring the fuck out of people in live streams or anecdotes about how they're gonna rub their nipples together to fight back against how Joe Biden is not a fan of Palestine, you gotta actually understand, maybe it's you. Maybe it's you not really feeding the beast of the algorithm. Maybe it's you not being consistent. Maybe your fucking antics of trying to peer pressure people into giving you money ain't really the way to go about making money. And maybe in the future, you can sit your simple ass the fuck back, enjoy what you're doing, and also get a fucking regular job! Because I'm getting tired of telling y'all that financially, it is more of a lucrative business practice for you to work somewhere. 9 to 5, 8 to 5, 10 to 10, 6 to 8. It don't matter. As long as you find something that has a weekly amount of money or bi-weekly amount of money coming in, it's better than content creation. This dude just sat there and played in people's faces, and through the grace of their own hearts, they said, here, because we care about this content. We care about you in the hopes that you make more content in the future. And now that he's publicly stating he's blowing it on a trip to Japan, it makes everything else he said maybe a complete lie. Maybe he wasn't in debt at all. Maybe he didn't have anybody breathing down his neck. He just wanted somebody to play with the heartstrings with, and now he's got a nice little trip to Japan in September. And it's thanks to people who wanted to have him out because they care and they like seeing the content. And this is why these GoFundMes are becoming the easiest way for somebody to make some money, because all you got to do is dangle that little carrot in front of people and they will see it and they will tug on that heartstring and they will pay you, whether it got something to do with race relations, intermingled breeding, or I guess a nice story about debt. Even though we all gotta start paying bills and rent and all this shit, I just want to help out the common man who's entertained me online for everyone to see because I feel like I'm doing a good job. Bitch, you do a good job paying your own fucking bills, not somebody else's. And if I'm gonna end this on any note, it's very simple. I would request you watching this video, if you ever thought to yourself, hey, I want to be a content creator. It seems a lot more fun than what I do in my regular life. I do nothing but mop floors. I don't do anything but cook food for other people. I don't do anything but babysit. I don't do anything but work at a bank. I promise you, listen to me. It is way better financially for you than to sit here and try to make content about topics, makeup, cooking, any of these things, because you're not going to be waiting a month for a check that you think look good for the future, but in reality, it's just one check and the next one might be worse than the last one. I promise you, as much as I get on here and talk about how much I celebratory jerk the meat, I promise you, I'm not lying to you, because there's going to come a day where you might be stupid enough to try to play on people's emotions for their money, and you're going to fuck it up in the future with your credibility and your reputation by letting these people know after you told them a story about your financial woes, you're blowing their gifted money towards you on a fucking trip to Japan while you continue to be lazy, waiting hand and foot for somebody to fucking help you. And that is fucking pathetic. Subscribe to the channel. I will see you all in the next one. Mwah! Goodbye.